Hello, nerds and nerdettes. Long time no see, but we are back at the channel with a new video. Today's video is going to be yet another collection tour. It's been roughly a year since I did a collection tour on my channel. My collection has changed vastly with new shelves, new books, etc., etc. So I figured it was about time to go through the collection, show you guys what it looks like at this point, and then we can do another revisit collection tour in the future as the channel continues to go. Channel, not channel. Um, this is one that I love to make for you guys. It takes a lot of work just because my collection is big and it's still not even that big of a collection. So bear with me when it comes to the length of this video. It is going to be a little bit longer, but in order to get through everything and focus on books that I want to spend a little more time on, that's kind of what it takes. Of course, if you are looking for any of the books that I'm about to show or talk about, you can use the channel sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. Use the discount code STAYNERDY, or when ordering 3 or more books, you can use the code STAYNERDY, ship it together to get 5% off. And for my manga lovers, I am a Right Stuff affiliate as well. So if you're ordering from Right Stuff and you'd like to help out the channel and support the channel, you can use my affiliate link down below in the description down below. The Organic Price Books code and the affiliate link are great ways to help support, so thank you if you guys decide to do so. This is going to be me getting back into filming, so bear with me here. I am kind of somewhat wrapped up with what I had to do during October, but I am going to have yet another week coming up here where I'm going to be fairly busy. So you probably won't see me regularly until around November, but we can kind of address that once we start uploading 3 times a week like we originally were. I do have a lot of new releases that I'll be focusing on, so look forward to that. But let's go ahead and jump into the collection and see what it looks like at this point in time. All right, nerds and nerdettes, like I said, we will be going through my collection. It's been about a year since I went through everything that I have in the library. So I am going to be starting with my Image titles, which is this small, skinny Billy here. Up at the top, we do have Bitterroot. Then we have Coda, Firepower, Ice Cream Man Sunday Edition, Invincible Ultimate Collections. This is not finished in my collection. I am missing, I believe, 2 volumes, give or take. And then down here, we have the Kick-Ass Trilogy, including the Hit Girl Prelude. We then have Monstrous Volume 1 and 2. Oblivion Song Volume 1, I do need to collect the rest of that. Once and Future, all of Outcast by Kirkman, all of Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan. Then we have Saga, also by Brian K. Vaughan. We then have Savage Dragon, The Ultimate Collections, Volume 1. Something is Killing the Children, Book 1. Very good series. TMNT by IDW. I only have the first volume so far. I do plan on collecting more. There's also The Last Ronin. Of course, everyone and their mother has this hardcover at this point. Then The Wicked and Divine by Kieran Gillen, the hardcover, Volume 1. Volume 2 is pretty much impossible to find, so I'm probably going to be ignoring that for the time being. And then we have The Department of Truth, Volume 1. If you're a fan of X-Files, I highly recommend that series. We then have all of Walking Dead, all the way to Volume 16 in the oversized hardcovers. I don't know what the proper term of this format is. I didn't want the library slipcase editions. I prefer this format, so that's the route I went. Same with Invincible. I just kind of go for the format that I like the most. And then we have the Here's Negan hardcover as a cherry on top for Walking Dead. But now we can move to my oversized Image books, which pretty much are mostly Remender books, but these are books that cannot fit in the Billy bookshelf to its left, so it got a special bookshelf. So we are starting with A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance by Remender, Animosity, the Omnibus, Animosity Evolution, the Complete Collection hardcover, God is Red, Atomica, the hardcover, Black Hammer, Library Edition by Lemire. This is only Volume 1. I am planning on picking up the rest. Black Sad, I obviously need more of that. One of my prized possessions, the Complete Calvin and Hobbes, book 1 through 3 in the slipcase editions. A very, very underrated newspaper comic. I highly recommend reading it if you're a fan of newspaper strips or anything like that. Then over here, we have Deadly Class Volumes 1 through 4 by Remender. This is finished and complete, finally. We then have 8 Billion Genies by Charles Soule, a very underrated indie book. BPRD 1952 through 1954 by Mignola. This is the Mignola verse. Very good universe. Very well constructed with amazing characters. Then we have Callie. This is a slept-on book, in my opinion. I absolutely loved this read. I highly recommend checking it out. It moves at breakneck speed, like a Mad Max film. Very good stuff. This is Low by Remender. Both volumes complete the series. We then have my Ablaze hardcovers, which I have Life Zero, which is a zombie story, and Vampire State Building, which is a vampire invasion on the Empire State Building, if that wasn't self-explanatory. Then we have Middle West, The Complete Tale by Scotty Young. Murder Falcon, probably a lot of people's book of the year, of last year actually maybe. Such an incredible read, really life-changing stuff. Nemesis by Mark Miller in the Millerverse. I love Mark Miller. I know that's probably a hot take. He's controversial in comics, but I always enjoy his writing. We then have my one and only Valiant hardcover deluxe edition, which is Ninjak. I do plan on picking up more of these hardcovers to hopefully complete some series, but we know that's borderline impossible. We then have Royal City, the complete collection by Jeff Lemire. Obviously, Jeff Lemire is essential in anybody's collection. Sentient, also by Jeff Lemire. Highly, highly recommend Sentient. Really good stuff. Then we have Seven to Eternity. I don't know why that was a tongue twister. This is also by Remender. We have Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. The amazing Screw On Head, which is also a Mignola-verse book. We then have The Boys, the hardcover omnibuses, volumes 1 through 3, which does complete the series. And then we have the cherry on top, The Boys, Dear Becky. We then have another Remender book, The End League, which I actually very much enjoyed, and I feel like not enough people talk about it. The Good Asian. Then, of course, The Incal. Then another Remender book, The Scumbag, another very controversial and divisive book in the community. Then The Witcher, Library Edition, Volume 1. Tokyo Ghost, also by Remender. Amazing read. And then Usagi Yojimbo, the 2-volume Fantagraphics Special Edition box set. But we can move to my manga. First for manga is my favorite thing that I've ever read, which is why it's in a shrine, as you can see, between my 2 Dragon Slayer bookends, which I totally did not fix up for the camera. This is volumes 1 through 13 of Berserk by Kentaro Miura. My favorite thing that I've ever read. Such a great series. I don't care if you don't like manga. Please do yourself a favor and read it. Then we have the Akira 35th Anniversary box set with a bunch of bookmarks on top. That's where I keep them. But this is yet another amazing series. Highly, highly recommend it. I'm sure everyone and their mother recommends it, but read it, especially in this format. But we can jump to my corner shelf. First up is 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa. Volumes 1 through technically 12, I guess, which does complete the series. Also, if you guys see anything out of order, let me know. I am not very good at my alphabet, which I've learned. We then have Abara by Nihei in the deluxe editions, Silent Voice in the complete collector's editions, All You Need Is Kill, which is the volume that everyone has in their manga collection for some reason, Battle Angel Alita, the box set with the deluxe edition hardcovers, Blade of the Immortal, volumes 1 through 7's up here, and then 8 I'm actually currently reading, but here is 9, so you're gonna have to trust me that I have 8. We then have Death Note, the black editions. I think this is a highly underrated edition for Death Note. Most people get the all-in-ones, but these are, in my opinion, the superior format. And then we have Devilman, the classic collection. If you're into having a fever dream, then you can read this. We have Dragon Ball. I eventually plan on picking up all of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It's my favorite anime. but I just haven't gotten to it. I have other priorities at this point. And then we have Drifting Classroom by Kazuo Umez in the SIG hardcovers. Dated, but good. Then we have FLCL or Fooly Cooly Omnibus. It's an all-in-one. That's really the only reason I picked it up. I'm not a die-hard Fooly Cooly fan. And then we have Full Metal Alchemist in the Full Metal editions, volumes 1 through 18. Getting tight here. 18. That does complete the series. These are beautiful editions, beautiful formats. Highly recommend them. If not to read them, just to stare at them because they're that beautiful. We then have Fist of the North Stars, volume 1 through 7. I am planning on collecting the rest of that. Just haven't gotten to it yet. As you guys can tell, my hauls are a little manga light, so I have some catching up to do. Then we have the Ghost in the Shell, the deluxe edition box set. This is with the volume 1, 1.5, and 2. And then we have The Girl from the Other Side, volumes 1 through 3. Volume 4, I believe, came out 2 months ago. I still need to get it. Look forward to my haul. I may already have it. Then we have a upside down volume of Gundam The Origin. I don't know why. But these are also very beautiful editions. They are hardcovers. Beautiful, like, watercolored covers. I highly, highly recommend these. If not just to read, then also, once again, to just stare at. But I do complete it here onto this shelf. I don't know Roman numerals, but I'm going to guess that's 12. I'm not a very smart man. And then we have Helsing, which volume 1 would go there. And volume 2 and 3. Volume 1 is missing because maybe a review is coming. Then we have a very underrated manga once again, I Am a Hero in the Dark Horse omnibuses. These are out of print and really hard to find. I do have it collected. It finishes down here on this shelf. Very good stuff. There's 11 volumes. If you like zombies, do yourself a favor. Got my little Squirtle. The Kingdom of the Gods, I mainly got this because of the show The Kingdom on Netflix, which I really enjoyed. This is its source material. That's really the only reason I picked it up. It is really good also. King of Eden, volumes 1 through 3 in the omnibuses. A very interesting virus thriller. Levius, which is the prequel to Levius Est. Monster, volumes 1 through 9. That does complete the series. That is from Urasawa as well. He is an immaculate mangaka. Then we have Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, the box set, 2 volumes, oversized format. Then we have the somewhat newer Parasite full color edition hardcovers. I have volumes 1 through 3. They will have connecting spines, as you guys can tell, spelling out Parasite. Then we do have Pokemon Adventures, volumes 1 through 10. I am a pretty big Pokemon fan, mainly when it comes to the video games, so that was a no-brainer for me. Then we have Sayuki, volumes 1 through 4 in the Resurrected editions. We then have Soul Eater, volumes 1 through 10. I think volume 11 just came out, so I need to pick that up eventually. We have the Speed Racer, the classic manga box set. I think that's the 40th edition or something like that. 2 volumes complete the series. It's hardcover, beautiful box set. I'm obviously a sucker for box sets. Then we have Super Sentai. I am a Power Ranger fan. That's kind of the Power Rangers source material, so I picked it up. Tokyo Revengers, I've recently kind of fell in love with this series. I didn't read it while it was being released, so I'm collecting it in the physical format. Really good stuff. Very genre bending. Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I do need more Junji Ito. I understand he's a god when it comes to horror manga. I'm working on it. Vagabond by Inoue, volumes 1 through 12. 12 is down there. I hope the lighting's not too bad. My second favorite manga that I've ever read, which is Vinland Saga, volumes 1 through 13, which is over here. I am planning on probably getting those deluxe editions, but these are serving the purpose at this point. And then the one off The Walking Cat, A Cat's Eye View of Zombie Apocalypse. Blind Buy, don't know why I got it, but it's here. So that does wrap up my manga. So now we can jump into my Marvel collection, starting with my Marvel omnibuses and then working to my Marvel hardcovers. Here we are, my first big shelf. So moving to the right from the corner manga section, my Marvel omnibuses and hardcovers. This is gonna be a long video, sorry guys. So of course we have Absolute Carnage, the omnibus Avengers by Busiek and George Perez, Volume 1. Volume 2 was just announced for a reprint, I believe. The Hick Avengers, Volumes 1 and 2 in omnibus format. That does complete his run. The Avengers versus X-Men, or AVX omnibus. A very big book. A divisive event when it comes to nerds in general. Then we have most of the modern Cosmic Saga, minus Road to War of Kings, which would go between Annihilation Conquest and War of Kings. I still need that, but we have Annihilation, Annihilation Conquest, War of Kings, and War of Kings Aftermath, Realm of Kings. Then we go into Black Panther by Christopher Priest, probably my favorite Black Panther run. Then we have my all-time favorite Marvel run in general, which is Captain America by Mark Waid and Ron Gardner, and Andy Kubert. This needs a reprint. My binding is completely torn up. This is a immaculate run on the character, though. It's then followed by Captain America by Dan Jurgens, and then the highly acclaimed Captain America by Ed Brubaker volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, 3, and then 5. 4 I actually just picked up. I do need to add it to the shelf. Then we have Captain America by Rick Remender, which then goes into Captain America by Nick Spencer, Volume 1. Volume 2 is coming out soon. And then we have a more modern run, which is Captain America by Ta-Nehisi Coates. While we're on the topic of Captain America, I do want to share with you guys a very awesome stained glass piece, custom made, handmade by my grandpa. He made this for me, and I think it is absolutely awesome that he made that with his own bare hands and for me alone. So shout out to Grandpa Teddy. Thank you for the stained glass again. But we can jump back to the books. And we're back, jumping into now Daredevil. I do need a lot more Daredevil. He's one of my favorite characters, but he doesn't take priority sometimes when there's new releases that are coming out. So we do have Daredevil by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson, which is my favorite run on Daredevil probably. Then we have Daredevil by Brubaker, Volume 1. I need the Bendis volumes and the second volume of Brubaker to kind of complete that saga of Daredevil. Then we have Daredevil by Mark Waid, Volume 1. Volume 2, I think, was announced for a reprint, I believe. Don't quote me on that. We then have Deadpool Classics, which I mainly picked up because of the Agent X issues. I collected Agent X when I was collecting single issues as a kid. I just wanted them in omnibus format. Then we have Deadpool and Cable, which is probably my one and only favorite Deadpool run. I am not a fan of Deadpool, but this is Cable and Deadpool, so it kind of works for my taste at least. We then have Deadpool the Minibus Volume 0, which then gets completed down here with Volumes 1, 2, and 3. I don't know why they didn't put Volume 1, but a custom dust jacket will fix that. We then have Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron and Chris Bachalo. Really good stuff. I think it's a slept-on Doctor Strange run. It's very interesting. It does kind of explore typical Jason Aaron tropes, but still, I really enjoyed it. We then have an event omnibus, Empire, which is an Avengers Fantastic Four crossover. Then we have my favorite Fantastic Four run, which is by Waid and Ruwengo. Such good stuff. Highly, highly, highly recommend reading that, especially for some of the Doom issues that take place in there. Then we have Fantastic Four by Mark Miller and Brian Hitch, which is kind of just a gap filler omnibus. I don't necessarily love that run, other than it's one of my favorite creative teams, but it's a gap filler that leads into Hickman's run, which is a 2-volume set to complete his run on Fantastic Four. We then have Brian Michael Bendis, Volume 1, Guardians of the Galaxy, which is my favorite run on Guardians of the Galaxy. Typically don't enjoy their books, but I did enjoy this run. We then have Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja, an essential read for Marvel readers. House of M by Bendis and Coipel, very good stuff as well. Peter David Hulk, volumes 1 and 2. I do need to complete this. Don't hate me. And then we have World War Hulk by Greg Pak and John Romita Jr. A lot of people don't like it. I love it. Hulk by Loeb and McGinnis. This is some of the Red Hulk stuff. Such a good read. Very much enjoy it. Then we have my favorite Hulk run ever. I've officially claimed it as such, which is Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing and Joe Bennett. Such a great read. Please do yourself a favor and read that. That is also an essential read for Marvel readers. Then we have the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Crusade. I am missing the Infinity War to complete the original Cosmic Saga, but we'll get that when we can. Then we have King in Black, which is the event that kind of spun out of Donny Cates' Venom run. Marvel Zombies, I've said before, I love zombies and I love superheroes. That's why I picked it up. Alan Moore's Miracle Man, even though it doesn't have his name on it, but this is his run. Onslaught, X-Men and Avengers, a not very great event, but it does lead into the Heroes Reborn, which then leads into the Heroes Return. Obviously, I don't have my books on the shelf in a traditional way. I kind of keep stories that are connected by each other, even if it doesn't line up alphabetically. We then have Savage Avengers, then Secret Warriors, Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, not great, but still an essential read, just because it's like the first Marvel crossover. We then have Dan Slott and the Alreds Silver Surfer, which is a Marvel essential read as well, in my opinion. We then have David Michelini, Todd McFarlane, I'm probably butchering his last name because I'm having a brain fart, and Todd McFarlane's run on Amazing Spider-Man. Then we have Todd McFarlane Adjectiveless Spider-Man, his omnibus. I do plan on getting more Spider-Man omnibuses, Roger Stern specifically, so don't hate me, that's not here. We do have The Amazing Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski, which is my favorite run on Spider-Man. I love that run, even though a lot of people hate it. Then we have The Superior Spider-Man, Volume 1. This takes place during Dan Slott's run. Then The Amazing Spider-Man Beyond. This is a mantle swap of the character of Spider-Man. We won't go into any details. We then have Spider-Verse Spider-Geddon, the omnibus. This also took place during Dan Slott's run, which the main reason that this is here is because this introduces, or not introduces, puts more into the forefront the character of Spider-Man 2099. I'm using this as a gap filler book to other Spider characters, eventually when I get more omnibuses. This is my favorite Star Wars Legends material, which is Star Wars The Old Republic, Volume 1. Do yourself a favor and read it. It is so good. I cannot talk highly enough about it. We then have what's not very good, which is Rise of the Sith. The only reason I'm keeping it is because the Maul issues. Darth Maul is my second favorite Sith, so that's really the main reason. We can move Funkadelic Darth Vader. We then have Star Wars The Empire, Volume 1, which I mainly have for the Darth Vader issues. A lot of brutal stuff there. And then we go into the canon Star Wars material, which starts with Charles Soule's run on Darth Vader, my favorite run on Darth Vader, on anything Star Wars. Such a good read. It really just injects so much freshness into the character of Darth Vader and Star Wars lore in general. We then have Star Wars Darth Vader by Gillen, which kind of spun out of, in a way, Jason Aaron's Star Wars run. These kind of run side by side, which is the main reason they're next to each other as well. And then we have The Immortal Iron Fist by Brubaker and Fraction, another essential read for Marvel readers, a highly acclaimed run. We then have New Mutants, Volume 1 and 2. And then we continue on to this shelf. We have the highly acclaimed and arguably one of the best runs on Thor by Walter Simonson and Big Sal Buscema. Highly recommend it. He was doing groundbreaking stuff, so do yourself a favor and read it. It's one of those essential reads. and so is Thor by Jason Aaron. The volume 2 is coming out, I believe, this coming week, so there will be a volume 2 here shortly. Then we have one of the first comics I've ever read in my life, which is The Ultimates by Mark Miller and Brian Hitch. That creative team, once again, that I love so much. And then we have Ultimate Comics Avengers, more Mark Miller stuff, more Ultimate Universe stuff, which then goes into the Ultimate Universe, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man, a lot of people's favorite run on Spider-Man, even though it's in the Ultimate Universe, which then leads into the 3 volumes of Miles Morales Spider-Man, the 2 volumes of the Bendis stuff, and then the Saladin Ahmed stuff, which was more recent. We then have Venom by Donny Cates and Brian Stegman, an essential read for Marvel readers. X Factor Volume 1 is here, but I'm currently doing a reread through, so that's why it's missing. But we do have Volume 2 here. I do prefer Volume 2 over Volume 1, but I'm rereading all of my collection surely but slowly. And then we have X-Men Grand Design, one of the coolest books. Not super great, but it is good for new readers. X-Men, the animated series, the Adaptions Omnibus, great for nostalgia, but that's really it. Has some 90s artwork, 90s storytelling, very similar to the cartoon, obviously, because it's the adaptions. Then we have the Dark Phoenix Saga Omnibus. I didn't want those Phoenix omnibuses. I wanted the Dark Phoenix Saga, so that's why I picked this up. Next up, we have some X-Men event omnibuses. So we do have X-Men Mutant Massacre, Inferno Prologue. I need Fall of the Mutants. I will get that eventually. And I do need Inferno. I'll get that eventually as well. There's only so much I can pick up. And then we have the Age of Apocalypse and its companion. And then my favorite run on X-Men by the amazing Grant Morrison. This is probably their best run, in my opinion. They really do some groundbreaking stuff, build up the team, inject drama, great action. You have Frank Quitely art, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I love Frank Quitely art. And then we have Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon and John Cassaday. Some amazing art, and Joss Whedon, who is the director of the Avengers movie. He has some really good team scenes in this book. Absolutely amazing. We then have Wolverine and X-Men by Jason Aaron, and then X-23 Volume 1. Then we move down to this shelf here, where we have Yellow, Blue, Gray, and White by the amazing team of Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. The Colors Omnibus, that does have a custom dust jacket on it. We then have Young Avengers by Heinberg. This is a very interesting run. He does great introducing new characters. It does lead directly into Kieran Gillen's run, which I don't love as much, but the Heinberg stuff is really, really good. But that does wrap up my omnibuses, so now we go into the hardcovers. We do have Always an Invader by Zdarsky, The Amazing Spider-Man Red Goblin. I'll get rid of that once we get more Dan Slott omnibuses. Then we have Avengers Endless Wartime, not great at all. Then we have Avengers Sanction. Is it Sanction, right? Yeah, Sanction. That is the lead up to AVX. It features Cable, the Avengers, everything you would kind of expect, but it is in a lot of ways a prologue to AVX. I wish it was included in that omnibus, but then it would have been way too big. We then have Avengers Rage of Ultron by Remender, a very, very good original graphic novel. We then have my favorite event, which is Civil War by Miller and Steve McNiven. We then have the Eternal stuff, and then Alex Ross's Fantastic Four Full Circle. We then have Lockjaw and the Pet Avengers. I think I found that for like $2, that's why it's here. We then have Marvel's The 10th Anniversary Edition. This is an essential read for Marvel readers as well. Planet Hulk, I don't know why I said it that way. The lead up into World War Hulk, Greg Pak's run on Hulk. We then have Spider-Man One Moment in Time, which is like a Mary Jane Spider-Man story. Really interesting. Great for Valentine's Day. And then we have one of my favorite runs that really gets no love as well, which is Supreme Power. This is all of the hardcovers up to the pre-war years. I think they continued the line with trade paperbacks, but I don't collect trade paperbacks. So this is all of the hardcovers that are out. They are out of print as well, so Good luck, but it's really good stuff. Straczynski on writing, Gary Frank on art, absolutely amazing. It then leads into Ultimate Power, which is a Ultimate Universe Supreme Power crossover. Um, Not that great, but still pretty good stuff. Ultimate Comics Captain America by Jason Aaron. I love Captain America, that's why I picked it up. Nova Origin by Loeb and McGinnis. That's the introduction of Sam Alexander, the new Nova that replaced Rick Ryder. So that's kind of essential until he gets his own omnibus. And then we have Wolverine Origins, the complete collection. Not great stuff, but if you want to know, I guess, Wolverine's once past, I don't even know if that's canon anymore or how that works, but definitely some essential reading there. Then we have Death of Wolverine. I'll give you 20 bucks if you can guess what happens in that one. And then we have Hunt for Wolverine, which is kind of the follow-up to Death of Wolverine. But that does wrap up Marvel books, so now we can go ahead and jump to my DC shelf, which has omnibuses and hardcovers. Here we are, my DC shelf. Let's jump right into it. Starting off, we have Aquaman by Geoff Johns. Such an incredible omnibus, very quick read. We have my Batman section, which kind of gets odd because I don't know where to place things. So first, we have the Batman Adventures Omnibus, which is kind of the inspiration of the TV show in a lot of ways. This is the same vibes and storytelling that the Batman, I guess, animated series has. We then have Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Omnibus. I could technically put this with IDW or DC. I decided to put it here. I don't know. We then have Road to No Man's Land and No Man's Land Volume 1. This is one of my favorite eras of Batman. There's one more volume that's needed. I'm planning on picking that up soon. We then go into Batman by Grant Morrison, Omnibuses Volume 1 through 3. Such beautiful spines. The run's pretty good. I would say Volume 1 and half of 2, then it gets a little odd and bonkers in my opinion, but still some essential reading there. We then have my favorite Batman book in my collection at this point, which is Batman and Robin by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, the omnibus. This is during the New 52. This is Batman and Damian Wayne as the dynamic duo. We then have Batman Detective Comics by Peter J. Tomasi. This takes place after or during Tom King's Batman run, I believe, or after Tom King's, somewhere around that time period. And then we have Blackest Night, the 10th anniversary omnibus, one of my favorite events. Once again, combines zombies and superheroes. And it does directly lead into the Brightest Day omnibus, which is a follow-up story, hence why they look very similar. We then have Dark Knight's Metal, the omnibus, DC 1 Million, the omnibus by Grant Morrison. This took place during their run on JLA, and this pretty much collects all of the tie-ins and DC 1 Million issues that took place in DC during that event. We then have DC Universe Rebirth. This is a omnibus I would tell most people to stay away from. It's not deserving of the price tag that you would typically pay for it, but I got it for like $5, and I mainly keep it because of the Rebirth issues that feature Wally and Barry Allen and them reuniting. It's a tearjerker scene for a lot of comic book fans. We then have The Flash by Mark Waid Omnibus Volume 1. I'm sure we'll get more volumes coming up. We then have the Geoff Johns run on The Flash, Volumes 1 through 3. Such good stuff. Definitely the quintessential Flash run, or modern Flash run at least. We then have the Flashpoint 10th Anniversary Omnibus. These omnibuses do share a lot of content because this is the omnibus where Flashpoint takes place, and this is the omnibus for Flashpoint, so it has all the tie-in issues. I'm a completionist, that's why I have both, and I'm probably stupid. We then have Final Crisis the Omnibus, one of the most confusing DC stories ever, but has one of the most impactful Batman moments that I very much love. We then have Superman Batman Generations Omnibus. This follows Superman and Batman, the world's finest, pretty much in real time as they age as years pass. This isn't super great stuff. It's kind of fun, but it is kind of boring at the same time. It is interesting to see what John Byrne kind of does with the characters and their connected characters that kind of spin off of Batman and Superman. It was also like $10 or something like that. We then have my favorite run in comic books ever, which is Green Lantern by Geoff Johns, the omnibuses, volume 1 through 3. Volumes 1 and 2, absolutely perfection. Volume 3 does kind of fall off a little bit, but man, volumes 1 and 2 alone are 100% essential reads. If you're a Green Lantern fan or not, it doesn't matter. We then have Green Lantern Corps by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. In a lot of ways, this is a sister omnibus to this run. We're going to get more volumes, hopefully. Such good stuff, once again. Really just builds up the lore of the Green Lantern Corps and Green Lanterns in general. We then have my favorite event ever, which is Infinite Crisis, the omnibus. This has Geoff Johns, Gail Simone, so many just incredible creators taking little parts and making it an entire story, which is very similar to what they did in the 52 omnibus. All these incredible names here: Geoff Johns, Grant Morrison, Greg Rucka, Mark Waid, all these amazing minds coming together to create such an incredible cohesive story. 52 does follow Infinite Crisis pretty much immediately. That's why they're side by side. But this is essential read for a DC reader. Has my favorite villain ever, Superboy Prime. Please do yourself a favor and read that. We then have Injustice, Gods Among Us, Omnibus Volume 1 and 2. Tom Taylor, his early stuff, his early work at DC. It obviously takes place in the universe from the video game, but this is the prequel to the video game. This is where you follow what took place between Superman and Batman to make them kind of at each other's throats. We then have Justice League International Omnibuses Volume 1 and 2. I got these from Jake at Brave and the Boys, so thank you for that. Volume 3, I believe, is solicited, I want to say. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. Really good stuff. We then have Grant Morrison's run on JLA. Once again, they were extremely groundbreaking during this run. Highly recommend checking this out. A lot of life was breathed into the characters of the JLA. We then have the New 52 Justice League run by Geoff Johns, or mostly by Geoff Johns, rather. These are very beat up. These are some of the first omnibuses that I've gotten, or that I got, but still really good run, great for new readers. We then have my favorite Superman omnibus, which is The Death and the Return of Superman. Once again, you can probably guess what takes place in this omnibus. Really good stuff, shows the impact of Superman and how much his death and return really affects the entire DC universe. We then have Superman and Batman Volume 1 to Volume 2. Very underrated run. Absolutely love this run. We then have Superman by Grant Morrison Omnibus. Really not good stuff at all. The early issues are not bad, but then it kind of gets a little iffy after that. Superman by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. Probably one of my favorite runs on Superman. Really injects it with so much hope and love and a family dynamic that is very just heartwarming to read. We then have Super Sons, the omnibus, the expanded edition. This is the second printing, but we now have a third printing coming, and I'm probably going to be an idiot and upgrade. So I guess it is what it is. This is my favorite Teen Titans run by Geoff Johns. Really good stuff. Anything Geoff Johns touches in general is honestly good. The Authority by Warren Ellis, Mark Miller, Brian Hitch art, Frank Quitely art. Amazing. Do yourself a favor and read that. That is another highly slept on omnibus. We then have Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. This is the New 52 Wonder Woman run. Really good stuff. Great for new readers. We then have Batman and Spawn, the deluxe edition. This is the old Batman and Spawn and the new Batman Spawn in one hardcover. Batman Year One. This was the origin of Batman, written by Frank Miller after Crisis on Infinite Earths. So if you want the first year of Batman explained, You got to read that. It's still regarded as his origin in a lot of ways. We then have Batman, The Dark Knight Saga Deluxe Edition. This is Frank Miller, Klaus Janson again. This has Dark Knight Returns and Strikes Again, I believe. And that's really it. I read this ages ago. That's why I'm struggling to remember, but it is Dark Knight Returns and Strikes Again because Master Race is followed by that. Master Race is actually my favorite Mark Miller Batman work. That may be a hot take, but I love that story in general. We then have Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child, the Deluxe Edition, Batman, the Batman, The Man Who Laughs Deluxe Edition. That was confusing with The Batman Who Laughs. We then have Batman, The Killing Joke Deluxe Edition, Alan Moore. Obviously, that kind of explains itself and just how great it is. Brian Boland art as well. Super realistic, great stuff. Batman, The Three Jokers by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok. Great art. Jeff Johns, once again, touched it, so it is amazing to me. I know it's pretty divisive in the community, but I loved it, especially the final issue. I think it needs a little bit more, but still, I enjoyed it. Batman, A Death in the Family, the Deluxe Edition. This is the death of a major character. Batman Under the Red Hood. This is a return of a major character. That's why they're side by side, even though A and U are nowhere near each other. I guess you guys are kind of catching on to how I collect my books, or organize them rather. We then have the Batman Who Laughs. He's very overused now, but I did enjoy this at the time. Batman Hush, the 15th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. Hush is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Batman story, so highly recommend reading it. You get Jim Lee art, Jeff Loeb writing. You then have the more current run on Batman, which is Batman Failsafe by Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez. Jorge Jimenez is probably my favorite artist in modern comics right now. Absolutely kills it. Chip Zdarsky is amazing at writing dark characters. Great run, especially this first volume. We then have Batman Superman World's Finest. Used to be Superman Batman, but now Batman's more popular, whatever. This is the first volume, The Devil Neja. This is Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Dan Mora is probably my second favorite current artist. Absolutely kills it. This is Batman and the Joker, The Deadly Duo, the Deluxe Edition. This is written and drawn by Mark Silvestri, who's more known for his work on X-Men books. We then have Catwoman, Lonely City by Cliff Chiang, who is the artist of Paper Girls, but he wrote and drew this Catwoman story that is kind of a what-if future in a way. Very good stuff. Highly recommend Catwoman, Lonely City, and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, even though I don't have that because it doesn't have a hardcover yet. We then have Damian, Son of Batman, the Deluxe Edition, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then we have Dark Knights Death Metal, the Deluxe Edition. We then have Dark Knights of Steel, Volume 1, Tom Taylor, once again, doing a Elseworld story. Imagine Game of Thrones mixed with the DC superheroes. Really good stuff. Lazarus Planet, Mark Waid. It's a mini event. Doomsday Clock by Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, once again. This is, in a lot of ways, directly connected to Rebirth and that era at DC. It injects the Watchmen universe into the DC universe, so it's very important because of that. My favorite Tom Taylor work, which is Deceased. This is volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is all of it completely finished. Once again, superheroes, zombies, such great stuff. Amazing character building, so much hope and love into the world and its characters. We then have DC vs. Vampires by Tinian. Very similar to Deceased, but not as well done in my opinion. Still a lot of fun. We then have my Earth 1 collection. So we have Superman Earth 1, volumes 1 through 3. Batman Earth 1, this is volume 1. I believe I need volumes 2 and 3. We then have Green Lantern Earth 1, volumes 1 and 2. Wonder Woman Earth 1, volumes 1 through 3. And Teen Titans Earth 1, volumes 1 and 2. We then have Earth 2 during the New 52, volumes 1 through 6. This is actually the first time that I remember seeing Tom Taylor's name. Such a good read. Cannot talk highly enough about Earth 2. Such a interesting spin on the DC Earth 2 lore and mythos, and it's so much just freshness is breathed into the story once again because it is during the New 52. We then have Convergence, which in a lot of ways is the end of Earth 2. Very messy, not great at all, but it's kind of needed. You then have The Flash Year 1. You're going to notice that a lot of DC books have Year 1 attached to them, and it's a retelling of the early years of that characters or team. I don't have a lot of Year 1s, but this is yet another one. We then have Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Hard Traveling Heroes, the Deluxe Edition. We do have an omnibus announced, or at least solicited, I believe. Really good stuff, groundbreaking, essential DC run. They were doing some groundbreaking storytelling during this time period on this title. We then have Heroes in Crisis and Heroes in Crisis, The Price and Other Stories. These are other stories connected to the Heroes in Crisis, and this is the Heroes in Crisis event. Tom King, Clayman. The story isn't great in a lot of aspects, but I still enjoy it. It's a very important time during DC, an event for DC, especially involving my favorite Flash, which is Wally West. But honestly, Clayman kills the art on it, so definitely worth picking up, if not for the art alone. We then have another Tom King book, which is The Human Target, Volume 1. Identity Crisis, 10th Anniversary Edition by Brad Meltzer and Rags Morales. Love Identity Crisis. I know some don't, but I do. Injustice versus the Masters of the Universe. I do not love that story at all. It is not that great, in my opinion. We then have the Joker War Saga, which is more recent. Jorge Jimenez art throughout there as well. Joker, the Deluxe Edition by Brian Azzarello. Joker Story. JLA Year 1. Once again, another Year 1 book with Mark Waid writing. We have another Mark Waid book, which is JLA The Tower of Babel. Arguably the most important JLA story ever. Great Batman story as well. It's a must-read. It's an essential read. We then have JSA The Golden Age. And then we have a very underrated Justice League run, which is by Scott Snyder. Such an incredible run. We need an omnibus for it. We need more people to read it and realize how great it is, because it really, really is great stuff. Jorge Jimenez art once again. James Tynion helping with writing during some portions. Just absolutely great stuff. We then have Justice League, Gods and Monsters. Not that great. The Jurassic League by Gideon and Daniel Warren Johnson. Superheroes or the Justice League as dinosaurs. Doesn't get much better than that. The New Teen Titans, the Judas Contract. This took place during Wolfman and Perez's run on the New Teen Titans. This is a very important storyline that takes place during that. We then have Nightwing by Tom Taylor, which is yet another amazing Tom Taylor work. This is all of the volumes so far, which it's volume 1, 2, and 3, and then this is a 1.5 in a lot of ways. We have Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the Deluxe Edition. This is pretty much anything Superman Alan Moore wrote. Superman Lois Lane, the 25th Wedding Anniversary, Deluxe Edition. I think it was about $2. I don't really care to have wedding edition books, but I have it now. We then have Superman Shazam First Thunder. Great read. Judd Winnick. Really good stuff. Superman and Shazam working together. Superman American Alien, one of the more important Superman stories that a lot of Superman fans need to read. Then we have Superman Camelot Falls, the Deluxe Edition, which follows Infinite Crisis and what he was doing once he returned during the year later storyline. Then we have some New 52 stuff, which is Superman, the Men of Tomorrow, Superman, Hell on Earth, and Superman Unchained. Superman Unchained is the only one really worth reading out of those three. We then have Superman Space Age. Great story. It's a more recent release. Really, really, really good stuff. All-Star Superman by, once again, Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. A very important Superman story and cannot recommend it enough. If you're a DC fan or a Superman fan, that is an essential read in every possible way. We then have the Sweet Tooth Deluxe Editions, volumes 1 through 3. Those are out of print and kind of hard to find, but that's Jeff Lemire's magnum opus in a lot of ways. It's the inspiration for the Netflix TV show as well, if you enjoyed that. We then have Tales from the Dark Multiverse 2. I need the first volume. It's just really hard to find, so I don't know if I will find that. And then we have Trinity by Matt Wagner. I didn't love it, but it does feature Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But that does wrap up the collection tour. I feel like my throat is about to give out, so we can jump back. To the table for some closing thoughts. And welcome back, nerds and nerdettes. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, even though it is extremely long. I do apologize for that, but I did want to focus on the books and books I like and books maybe I didn't like that I don't talk about that much. I've only done so many reviews on the channel, so some of these books I haven't talked about with you guys before, and it was about time that I did so until it eventually gets a review on the channel as well. I truly appreciate you guys being patient with me. I do have a little bit more going on, so I will see you guys regularly in the month of November. I am very excited, but also nervous to get back into it just because it's muscles that I haven't used for a while now, if you can tell just me filming right now. But I am very excited to get back into it. But if you guys did enjoy today's video and you enjoyed any of the content you checked out on my channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button to join the Illuminerdy. It is such an amazing community. It's growing daily, such amazing members, and I am so proud to be a part of it. Also, if you did enjoy today's video and you want to be notified when other content is uploaded, hit that bell icon. And if you could do me a big favor and hit that thumbs up icon, both mean a lot when it comes to the algorithm. But once again, thank you for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys. I will see you guys regularly during the month of November. I do have some other videos planned to hopefully come out during these next few couple weeks. So I'll see you then as well. And of course, as always, stay nerdy.